Let's dive into the Tesla Takedown movement, a bold grassroots initiative that's been making waves across the nation and even internationally. This movement has taken a stand against Elon Musk, particularly targeting his role in government by encouraging people to sell their Tesla cars, dump their stock, and join protests. It's decentralized, it's people-powered, and it's making an undeniable impact. And when I say impact, I mean it. In just a few short months, over 300 protests have erupted, not just here in the U.S., but globally. Places like Boston, Pasadena, and even Lisbon, Portugal, have seen marches, sit-ins, and picket lines. These events aren't just symbolic gestures. They are acts of defiance, calling out corporate influence and asking the simple question, who holds the power and who should? But let's also talk about the courage it takes to keep this movement alive. Activists are being barraged online, accused of things like receiving funding from controversial figures or even supporting illegal actions, claims that don't hold water. These are tactics meant to intimidate and discredit, yet the movement continues, undeterred. In every city, in every protest, there's a clear message. Corporate values shouldn't dictate public welfare or control our democracy. Play this clip.
The protests against Musk don't end there. There's something really remarkable happening right now. I'm not sure people have really quite gotten their arms around this. We are seeing this organic bottom-up movement against Musk's signature company, Tesla. Some activists just put up a website with a simple message, right? Sell your Teslas, dump your stock. And then an entire Tesla takedown movement has sprung up in response. And they've got a map where all the protests are planned all across the country. It's been happening for about a month. This weekend alone, there are more than 100 protests planned at dealerships, Tesla dealerships across the country, from Brooklyn to Toledo, Dallas to Grand Rapids, Raleigh, dozens more. There are even, as you might see there, a handful planned in Canada and the UK. And I'm going to tell you something. I wager next weekend there will be even more, and the weekend after that more. Because this is growing every single day. And it's not Democratic leadership in Congress organizing the protests. It's just everyday folks who are fed up and want to make their voices heard. And it's having an insanely outsized effect. I mean, Tesla's sales are just cratering. The stock price has seen all of its post-election gains vanish. Musk's personal wealth has declined by more than $125 billion since the beginning of the year. That's because of this. And that's why Donald Trump had to turn the White House into a car lot this week and cut an ad for his co-president's fleet of vehicles. While the Attorney General of the United States effectively tried to threaten folks with jail time if they voiced their dissatisfaction with Musk's company.
If you're going to touch a Tesla, go to a dealership, do anything, you better watch out because we're coming after you.
Wow.
And
Well,
if you're funding this, we're coming after you. We're going to find out who you are.
If you go to a dealership? No. We've all got a First Amendment right to stand on a sidewalk with signs outside a dealership. Doesn't matter what Pine Bondi says. By all accounts, this is not being funded by some big funder. It's a grassroots movement. Some people are organizing. They're putting up a website. And at any rate, it doesn't seem like those scare tactics are working. I would hazard they only make people want to protest more. Today, hundreds of veterans and their family members and loved ones rallied near Capitol Hill in protest of Musk's cuts to the federal government, many of which target veterans who worked in the government and have been fired or are serviced by the government directly. Yesterday, 100 demonstrators got arrested after hundreds more occupied the lobby of Trump Tower in Manhattan to protest the unlawful detention of the Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil. Again, this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's taken a little while for people to sort of understand what they're seeing, because it's shocking and it's surreal, but it's just the beginning. There's a lot more work to be done. So yes, some of the Democratic leadership is disappointing a lot of people right now. But they're elected to represent us. They're going to follow what the people do. And so we have to show them what needs doing.
Elon Musk, the world's richest man, isn't just running Tesla anymore. He's been placed at the center of the government's newest experiment, the Department of Government Efficiency. And let me tell you, it's not just ruffling feathers. It's tearing down entire federal institutions. Under Musk's lead, The Department of Government Efficiency has been responsible for sweeping cuts in federal jobs and funding. Agencies like NOAA and the Department of Education, key to our nation's infrastructure, have been scaled back dramatically. Critics describe this as slashing government inefficiency, but in reality, it's dismantling the very support systems millions rely on. And naturally, public outrage has skyrocketed. But here's where things get more intricate. Musk's decisions aren't just hitting government workers. They're having ripple effects on Tesla itself. In Germany, for example, Tesla sales have dropped a staggering 76%. That's 76%. Stock prices have tanked globally, leaving investors nervous and forcing Musk to defend his actions not only as a CEO, but now as a government official. And you know, when you mix business interests with politics, consequences are inevitable. And amidst all this, President Trump. Now Trump has thrown his weight behind Musk, calling him a patriot, working to root out waste. The duo even held a showcase event on the White House lawn, turning politics into a Tesla ad. Really. It's despicable and a clear show of conflicts of interest. Meanwhile, Trump has dismissed critics of Musk's government involvement and implied protesters, vandalizers, and even some activists could face charges of domestic terrorism. Trump even went as far as to say that if Americans don't buy Teslas, it's illegal. This is laughable. Poor Elon. Elon is losing money and being treated unfairly. Boo-hoo, cry me a river. Elon, what about what you've done to so many Americans, so many veterans, so many unjustly fired without a cause federal employees? Elon, you called Social Security the biggest Ponzi scheme ever. Let it be known that the people receiving Social Security paid into the system. Americans currently receiving Social Security money is money they saved and earned for retirement. It's a high-stakes game of power, one where corporate ambitions and government agendas collide directly with public opinion and activism. So the question remains, what happens when influence edges out accountability? Let's talk about the violence and rising tensions surrounding Tesla and, by extension, Elon Musk's role in government. From Molotov cocktails in Colorado to charging stations set ablaze in Massachusetts, the messages couldn't be louder, even if the methods are deeply concerning. While these acts are a stark contrast to the peaceful protests of the Tesla Takedown movement, they reveal just how much public anger is bubbling over. And let's be crystal clear. Destruction isn't the answer, but it forces us to question why people feel driven to these extremes. Attorney General Pam Bondi has issued warnings to those involved in vandalism, declaring harsh legal repercussions. Musk has taken to platforms like X, branding vandalism as a violation of free speech, which, by the way, it obviously is. Yet isn't it interesting that among all the chaos, the conversation keeps circling back to Musk's own unchecked power plays? The firebombs might make headlines, but they're symptoms of the larger issue. Complete disregard for the livelihoods being dismantled behind closed doors. The Department of Government Efficiency, under Musk's lead, is methodically slashing social safety nets, Medicare, Social Security, you name it. These aren't abstract cuts. They're millions of Americans feeling the very real, very personal fallout of losing access to medicine, housing assistance, education. When we cut these lifelines, what we're really saying is, you don't matter unless you turn a profit. You don't matter unless you're a billionaire. It's infuriating, heartbreaking, and honestly unsustainable. But let's not just talk about the repercussions. Let's talk solutions. Public pressure, peaceful, targeted, vigorous, is working. Tesla's stock has plummeted, sales are evaporating, and Musk himself is on the defensive. On top of that, there's a shift happening. A growing realization that government isn't a corporation and that the public won't idly stand by while it's treated like one. So here's where we land. At the core of all this friction, between government policies, corporate interests, and desperate protests, lies one simple truth. Democracy can't thrive when influenced more by dollars than by votes. And to every listener out there, Be it through your voice, your vote, or your vigilance, remember, change happens when we demand it with conviction. Together, we are the pushback that won't be ignored. That wraps up today's episode of The Real 411. I want to personally thank each and every one of you for tuning in and for your continued support. It means more than you know. If you found value in today's discussion, please drop a comment. Follow us on all social media platforms and let us know what topics you'd like to see us cover next. Be sure to sign up for our email newsletter so you never miss an update or exclusive insight. And if you believe in independent media, media that digs deeper and dares to tell the truth, please consider following The Real 411 on Substack and Fanbase. We offer both free and paid subscriptions, and your support helps us continue producing content that informs, empowers, and sparks real conversation. Thanks again for being part of this journey, because remember, the story is never just the headline. Until next time, stay informed, stay bold, and stay real.